Hi everyone. Hope you are good. Today we are going to review TerraMaster F4-420 NAS. Let's talk about its design. The appearance of the F4-420 is something that you'll either like or hate, but it's consistent with the TerraMaster range of NAS boxes and its passion for rounded silver surfaces. Essentially, it's a metal and plastic construction that feels robust even if it doesn't break any new ground in terms of style or imagination. On the front of this unit are 4 vertically mounted 3.5-inch drive bays, an array of LED indicator lights and the power button. Around the back are 2 USB ports, one USB 3.0 along with a USB 2.0 connector, and dual Gigabit Ethernet LAN ports. There are also two 80mm fans at the rear to keep the contents cool, and power input for a laptop-style PSU. In our previous F2-200 review, we commented about the lack of locks on the drive bays, inviting their accidental unlatching. And that remains unchanged here, sadly. In the packaging, along with the F4-420 is a box that contains the PSU, power cables, a single Ethernet cable, and a screwdriver to use with a selection of drive mounting screws. It is possible to install 3.5 and 2.5-inch mechanisms, allowing for 2.5-inch SSDs along with conventional spinning platter-based storage. However, you can't allocate an SSD as a cache for conventional drives, unfortunately. Specifications. For those with 412 TB hard drives handy, there is the potential for 48 TB of storage in the F4-420, but only if you are willing to decline any form of resilience to drive failure. Using a RAID 5 configuration, a whopping 36 GB of usable space is available. Or 24 TB if you decide to use a RAID 1 mirror instead. On the TerraMaster specification page, it proudly proclaims that instead of using an ARM CPU, the F4-420 has been blessed with a quad-core 2GHz Intel Celeron J1900, along with 4 GB of DDR3 memory. Curiously, that's a lower processor clock than the F4-220, which sported a 2.4 GHz Intel J1800. Also worth noting is the fact that the 4 GB of RAM on this system can't be user upgraded. The critical difference is that the J1900 is a quad-core processor, whereas the J1800 is dual-core. And that's the only significant difference between the F4-420 and its 30% cheaper F4-220 cousin. Performance. File serving performance on this system is entirely dependent on having a managed switch with the functionality to create channel bonding. Without that critical functionality, the best speed you'll see, almost irrespective of the drives in use, are 115 MB/s reading and 110 MB/s writing. That's the effective limits of Gigabit Ethernet, not the NAS box. With both Ethernet ports connected to a suitable switch, those scores can be doubled. But unless any connecting computers also have dual LAN networking, the extra performance will be aggregated across multiple users. For those wanting to use both Ethernet ports simultaneously, you have some interesting options including load balancing over 2 switches, dynamic link aggregation, 802.3 add, balance XOR, and an automatic failover mode. Wi-Fi isn't an inherent capability, but you can insert a suitable USB Wi-Fi adapter into one of the available ports and establish a direct link through that. Accessing the F4-420 as a file server elicits a suitably snappy response. Monitoring the performance logs while intentionally flooding the bandwidth of both LAN adapters shows that even the most intense transfers won't overload the quad-core CPU. In use. Getting the review unit operational wasn't as slick and painless as it should have been. Many of the issues here revolved around the TNAS software that TerraMaster uses to initialize the device and then install its TOS 3.1 operating system. While possibly a temporary glitch, the download speed of the TerraMaster website was disappointingly slow. It took over 2 hours to download the required files, disturbingly. When we'd finally got it downloaded, the TNAS PC app didn't include a proper installer, and just appeared to be a collection of VB code with an obsolete file manifest. Our first attempt to run this software failed mainly because it made assumptions about the .NET installation on the client PC that wasn't guaranteed or even tested, causing it to crash. I'm sure a skilled IT department would have no problems resolving the TNAS application issues, but they might easily frustrate a less capable user. As an alternative, TerraMaster does offer a 3.1 beta release that at least had an installable executable, but this too crashed on a Windows 7 PC. Eventually, we got that to work on a Windows 10 machine that luckily had the components that the software was expecting, and we could then install TOS 3.1 on the F4-420. Final verdict. A comparable product from market-leading Synology is the DS418. It costs less, has around 100 applications to install, and a DSM operating system that has been in development for over a decade. Under those circumstances, it's hard to see why the TerraMaster F4-420 would be chosen over the much more polished Synology DS418, or the 10 GBE capable QNAP TS431X2G.